Hey Brewtubers, happy Homebrew Wednesday. Welcome to yet another Updates from New Jersey video, even though I've been living here long enough that you guys probably know that I live in New Jersey and not New York City anymore. So I have here a glass of my Imperial Stout, which I don't know if I mentioned in the last video, but I've gone through quite the adventure with this beer, and I'll talk a little bit about it just to give you a kind of glimpse. So, brew day, I'll start from brew day. So brew day, I tried a new method of splitting the mash evenly to try to get better efficiency. Somehow it didn't work, which now I'm attributing it to pH because the beer ended up being very overly roasty in primary. So I'm attributing that to pH, but in the end, I don't remember what the original gravity was, but in the end, it's just under 10%. So then during primary, I had two tinctures going, one of bourbon with oak cubes, with the medium toast oak cubes, and one with vanilla beans and cocoa nibs. So I put it on the oak and some extra fresh bourbon in secondary for about 3 weeks or so, maybe a little over 3 weeks. And then I kegged it, added most of the vanilla cocoa extract because I didn't want it to overpower the whole beer. Plus I added about 12 ounces of cold brew. So it's, a bourbon, oak, vanilla, chocolate, coffee, Imperial Stout. Now the biggest problem I've had with this beer beyond the pH was the carbonation. For some reason the beer wasn't carbonating, and now with this glass I'm pretty sure it is carbonated. I have other pictures which maybe I'll include with it more of a head, but I couldn't find my tripod, so I have you guys on top of a box that has 2 new kegs that I ordered from lovetobrew.com and a dinner tray, a wooden dinner tray. So what happened with the carbonation was that at first I had in my tank that I brought over from New York, I knew I didn't have enough to really carbonate another beer, especially a big beer, but I gave it a chance and it wasn't carbonating. And I swapped out the tank and did my usual carb schedule, still didn't carb, put it at 16 psi, over my usual serving pressure, which is 13 or 14, for almost 2 weeks, still didn't carbonate. Then people were saying, after I told them all the steps that I've gone through, replacing O-rings and yada yada yada, SJ and a few other people actually recommended that I take the keg out, hook it up to PSI at 20 psi, and do the whole rolling thing, because sometimes with big beers, the CO2 has a hard time dissolving the solution. So I did that, and then I left it for 3 additional days. So I'm filming this Thursday night, and I did it on Monday night at 20 psi. And I didn't change the pressure yet, but when I poured it 20 psi, you could tell that it was carbonated because you had those like small bubbles rising to the top, and then it formed a nice head. So I'll try my best to remember to include pictures of it when it had more head, because I topped it off, and then the head was about a finger, or a little over a finger of head. So let's taste it. Cheers. So on the taste, up front, you get chocolate, coffee, and vanilla. You don't get hit with the oak and the bourbon right away. Then towards the mid-pound, the end of the sip, the oak and the bourbon come through. Not as strong as like a barrel-aged Imperial Stout, but there's so many adjuncts or additives that it really kind of all like blend together in a good way. It does come off more of as like a milk chocolate than a dark chocolate because of the vanilla adds a lot of sweetness. But underneath that, because I've tasted the base beer, I can get that little bit of like burst of like really strong in your face roastiness. Now, and that's the factor why I chose I'm not going to be entering the Homebrew Alley competition. I brewed this so it would be ready in time, but because I've had so many issues with it, I don't want to like put it in bottles and then certain characteristics come out that they just don't like. So while I'm liking it, I'm not sold on it yet. I want it to age a little bit longer for like another few weeks in the keg just to make sure that that big roasty punch in the back end is not ages out. So then my next brew, which I'll talk about filming brew days in a second, my new approach to it at least, is I have my quad fermenting. It's about 2.5 weeks or almost 3 weeks as of filming this on Thursday the 26th. It's been in the primary for almost 3 weeks, and brew day went better because I knew to check the pH. Now, for my first 2 brew days in this apartment where I did my black rye IPA and the Imperial Stout, I just tried to buffer the tap water with just sprinkler jugs of 1 gallon jugs of spring water, which hopefully, which I hoped to balance the pH, but didn't really do that. So what I did for the quad was I finally recalibrated my pH meter, and I buffered the water with a little bit of distilled water, which has no minerals in it. So, and then during the mash, I monitored the pH, and I ended up using about 1.5 milliliters of lactic acid to bring the pH down to somewhere between 5.3 and 5.4, which is what I was shooting for this beer. So I ended up getting pretty good efficiency, and I fell within 1 point off of my target original gravity. And the only thing that's gone wrong with the beer so far was that I went on to LA for a few days for my grandmother's unveiling, and then a couple days of vacation with my family, and we shut the heat off in the apartment, and I left the window that we usually leave cracked because sometimes the heat makes it too warm. I left that cracked, so the beer went from all the way up, where I raised it up purposely, about 75, 76 Fahrenheit, all the way down to 66. So luckily, over a day or a day and a half, I was able to rouse the yeast a few times and leave the door to my fermentation fridge open, and it rose back up. But that just means that it's going to take, because the Trappist high gravity yeast sometimes lags towards the end, which I had with the first vintage, and I know it did that because I took a gravity sample. It's going to take more than an extra week to kind of knock down those last few points than it would have if I had left the heat on that window completely closed. So, but it's tasting good, and I can't wait to make my next first fruits vintage. It's not another kid announcement. It's that this is the beer that I want to brew every year, so it could be ready for my daughter's birthday, which is in April. And with big beers, you want them to age a little in the bottle before you start serving it. So, so in terms of filming brew days, I haven't filmed any of my brew days yet, but I do want to film my next one, which I don't know when that's going to happen. But I really wanted to get the hang of brewing with the new water and brewing in my new kitchen, which is a lot smaller. We have a bigger living area in this apartment, but a lot less kitchen. So although I've been able to brew all grain without any issues, without any major spatial or logistic issues, I just wanted to make sure I had everything dialed in before I actually start filming brew days. Especially because I've never filmed the brew day with my good new camera. So, so my next brew day, I want to do what I did. I think one of my last brew days before I moved, which was the 2 beers from 1 mashed style, like a 10-gallon batch, a saison and an IPA. So I haven't decided on the parameters for the IPA so much yet, but I bought off Amazon a thing of chai spice, and I love chai tea during the winter, so I feel for a wintry saison, I want to brew a chai saison. So I have to do some research on how much chai spice to add, but I want to do a chai saison. So I'll add a little bit of biscuit or honey malt to kind of bring that tea-like sweetness to the back end of the beer, and then add the chai spice at the end of the boil. So that should be interesting. And for the IPA, I don't know exactly what I want to do. I've been thinking about doing a red IPA to give some nice wintry malt character with some nice juicy hops in with that. or some nice earthy and some juicy, or balance, the two. But I haven't really nailed that down yet. I have hops still in my freezer. And I'll get new hops if I decide that I want other varieties. But I still want to keep it to the Saison and the IPA. So that's what I want to do next, and hopefully it'll be within the next week or a few weeks, and I'll film that and share that with you. But overall, brewing's going well. That's my homebrewing updates in terms of craft beer. Like I did in my last updates video, I did go to, some of you know who are my friends on Facebook, when I was in LA, me and my brothers went to the brewery in Placentia, California, which I'd been to before with my wife back in 2014, and it was a really awesome experience. They weren't giving tours, but the tap room has 40 beers on tap. So me and both of my brothers all got flights of 5 beers, so we were able to kind of taste each other's flights, and and then get another glass of beer of our favorite beer from those flights before we left. So that was awesome. The best was a version of Black Tuesday, their Imperial Stout, that they added, called it Elvis Black Tuesday, where they added, for the Elvis sandwich, but they added bananas and peanut butter to it. I couldn't really taste the bananas, but the peanut butter and the chocolate and bourbon and the vanilla all came together for an amazing beer. So I would love to see them bottle that, even though I probably wouldn't be able to get it because it was probably only at the brewery. But that was a really cool time, and next time I'm in California, hopefully I'll be there for more than a few days, and I'll be able to visit more breweries that I haven't been to yet, especially those in the LA area, because that's where I usually stay when I go to California. So that's my updates for now. I was going to do a review of a BrewTubers beer that I've had for a long time, but when I tested the carbonation of my Imperial Stout, I knew I had to talk about it with you guys and finally film an updates video. So that's what I've got going for now. Oh yeah, one last thing. I did brew my barley wine at Manskirt Brewing in Hackettstown, New Jersey on December 18th. And the plan for it is that we're going to be wasn't there for the day that he transferred to barrels, but he transferred a third of the 5-barrel batch into a Jack Daniel's barrel, and then the rest of it is going to keg after he tastes it and feels that it's conditioned enough, and then within the next couple of weeks it'll be tapped. So once we go and we tap the first keg, of course I'll film it, and me and Joe, the head brewer, will do kind of a tasting video together. So again, that's what I have for now. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you to all the guys who set up the BrewTube group on Facebook. I'm really having fun seeing all your guys' updates and all that, bringing the community even tighter together. Cheers, keep on brewing, and I'll hopefully see you soon.